2014 Dragon Age Inquisition. This was the very first Game Awards streamed in Vegas. About 1.9 million people watched when BioWare's Dragon Age Inquisition was crowned Game of the Year. It was a big deal, not just because it's a strong RPG, but because it set the tone for what Game of the Year would represent. Ambitious storytelling plus huge worlds. The nominees that year were stacked. Bayonetta 2, Dark Souls 2, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. Each of those could have won. Dark Souls 2 because of its brutal challenge and lore, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor for its Nemesis system, which many thought pushed gameplay forward. So, what did Dragon Age excel in? First, its narrative scale. Multiple story paths, political intrigue, character relationships. It gave players a lot of agency. Second, its world building. Lush environments, varied locales, a breadth of side quests. And third, presentation. Good voice acting, art direction, and polish across platforms. Public reception was mostly positive, though not unanimous. Some fans felt Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor or Dark Souls 2 deserved overruns. Others praised BioWare for balancing traditional RPG elements with modern accessibility. In reader polls, like Game Informer's, Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year by a comfortable margin over Shadow of Mordor. 2015 The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. In 2015, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt claimed Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and it was no fluke. CD Projekt Red delivered a landmark open-world RPG. Massive map, rich narrative, moral choices that bite you, side quests that felt like mini-stories. It wasn't just about doing everything. They made everything feel meaningful. It sailed past stiff competition. Bloodborne, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, Fallout 4, Super Mario Maker were all nominated. Many thought Bloodborne would take it. What did The Witcher 3 do better? Its storytelling and world cohesion were unmatched. Geralt traveling across regions, encountering politics, monsters, romance, all while keeping pace with side stories that felt intentional, not filler. Public reception was ecstatic. Players called it a masterpiece, and from forums to review essays, many said it raised the bar for RPGs. Yet, controversy lingered. Others felt Bloodborne was snubbed. Interestingly, Kojima's absence turned heads. When Metal Gear Solid 5 won Best Action Adventure, its director Hideo Kojima was barred by contract restrictions from being at the show, adding drama to that night. 2016 Overwatch. Overwatch took home Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2016, and it felt like Blizzard's breakout moment. It didn't just claim that award, it also grabbed Best Game Direction, Best Multiplayer, and Esports Game of the Year. This was a strong year of nominees. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, Inside, Doom 2016, Titanfall 2. People loved Uncharted 4 for its narrative and cinematic polish, Doom for its raw, frantic combat, Inside for its haunting art style, and Titanfall 2 for its single-player campaign and movement mechanics. Each had intense fan support. Many felt Doom or Titanfall 2 deserved the top spot. But there's good reasons why Overwatch won the award. Its design of diverse heroes with different roles opened up new levels of team synergy and strategy. It struck a balance between being inviting to new players and rewarding for pros. Plus, its launch timing and Blizzard's pedigree gave it high expectations, which it delivered on. Though a few critics complained that it leaned too much toward multiplayer over single-player content. In short, Overwatch proved a game could succeed wildly by being uplifting, by making teamwork fun, and by building a world people actually wanted to spend time in, not just shoot through. 2017 The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. In 2017, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year, and it was one of the clearest winners in recent memory. Nintendo reimagined Zelda, giving Link an open world so alive you felt like every rock, tree, and mountain could hold adventure. The physics, freedom, and sheer amount of player choice transformed expectations for open-world games. Nominees that year were Super Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Mario Odyssey drew massive praise for its design, Persona 5 for its style and storytelling, and PUBG for establishing the Battle Royale craze. Many felt Odyssey might steal it with its charming worlds. Others thought Persona 5 should win for its narrative depth. And Nier Automata, though not nominated, also deserves a mention. In the end, Breath of the Wild was the one that stood out the most. It made exploration feel magical, not just optional. Climbing whatever you want, solving puzzles in any order, cooking your own meals, using physics for combat and problem solving. It built a world where you decide how to play. Critics loved its polish, its design that rewards curiosity, and the way it balances a grand main quest with satisfying side content. The public loved it too. Zelda fans felt it was a return to form. New players were blown away, which is why it deservedly won the award. 2018 God of War. Imagine you're comparing two giants. One reinvents a franchise, the other redefines the open-world epic. That's exactly what happened in 2018. God of War took home Game of the Year at the Game Awards, edging out Red Dead Redemption 2 in what many fans and critics consider one of the most heated Game of the Year debates ever. God of War impressed with its deep father-son story, visceral combat, and tight pacing. It reimagined Kratos not just as a rage machine, but as a dad with regrets, responsibility, and growth. It wasn't just strength in visuals, but in character, direction, and emotional weight. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't far off. It collected the same number of nominations, and actually won more total awards that night in other categories. Many players felt RDR2 offered a larger scope, a living, breathing world filled with emergent moments, horseback travel, random interactions, cinematic cutscenes, plus huge technical achievement. But some critics said its pacing was sluggish. Others mentioned that its release late in the year may have hurt its visibility in voting. Ultimately, God of War won because it delivered high polish, emotional resonance, and reminded the industry what a reboot with heart can do. 2019 Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice grabbed Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2019, and it was a win that shook a lot of expectations, but in a good way. FromSoft delivered something both brutally exacting and artistically bold, forcing players to master posture, defy death, and climb horrors that demanded every ounce of their attention. The game also won Best Action Adventure, cementing its strength not just in combat, but in world design, balance, and sense of accomplishment. The competition was stacked. Death Stranding came in with 10 nominations, more than any other game that year, offering a cinematic experience, deeply human themes, and some Hollywood-style gravitas. Resident Evil 2, Control, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds all had passionate fan bases and strong critical praise. The public and critic reception for Sekiro was overwhelmingly positive. Sekiro got high Metacritic scores, and people praised not just its difficulty, but its design, art, boss encounters, environmental storytelling, and atmosphere. There was controversy, of course. Some felt Death Stranding's cinematic ambition deserved the top spot. Others pointed out that Sekiro's difficulty might have made it less accessible to more casual players, yet perhaps that very risk made it stand out. And yes, Disco Elysium, despite being hugely awarded in narrative/RPG categories, was loudly mentioned in many corners of the community as being snubbed from Game of the Year nomination, given how beloved it was. 2020, The Last of Us Part 2. In 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year, and it split the room, but still felt like the obvious pick in many circles. With its narrative ambition, technical polish, and emotional storytelling setting high expectations. It launched with over 10 nominations, including Best Narrative, Best Game Direction, and Art Direction. The other nominees were tough. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Hades, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and Doom Eternal. Hades was beloved as a critical darling. People felt its gameplay loop and design were near perfect. Animal Crossing was a breakout social escape during lockdown, and Ghost of Tsushima was praised for its world beauty and samurai story. But when votes came in, The Last of Us Part 2 carried enough weight among critics and media outlets to take the crown. The pause and shock moments, the way it forced players to question their allegiance, the voice acting, the visuals. Naughty Dog pulled out all the stops. Also, the timing. A AAA single-player narrative-heavy game in a year where many sought escapism and connection. The jury seemed to favor that depth combined with polish, edging The Last of Us Part 2 out over other nominees. 2021, It Takes Two. 2021 didn't feel like a year full of the usual blockbusters at first, but then It Takes Two showed up and changed a lot of minds. Hazelight Studios' co-op adventure won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and it wasn't just a feel-good pick. It spoke to something a lot of gamers were craving: creativity, connection, and collaboration. Nominees included Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Many expected Deathloop would win. That slick, stylish first-person romp with its loops and twists had serious buzz. Metroid Dread was also a fan favorite, especially for people who loved classic gameplay refined. What It Takes Two did that other games didn't was force you to play together. Its entire design is co-op only. 2 players, each handling a half of the screen, solving puzzles, platforming, shifting mechanics every chapter. The way story and gameplay intertwined, where relationships, humor, and emotional beats landed in equal measure, gave it a warmth and uniqueness many felt was missing in more spectacle-driven titles. The public largely cheered for It Takes Two. Its charm, its mechanical inventiveness, and its ability to balance fun with emotional impact cemented its win. 2022, Elden Ring. 2 titans clashed that year. Elden Ring walked away with Game of the Year, but God of War Ragnarok was the elephant in the room. 11 nominations, 6 wins, and a massive fan base expecting it to possibly be the winner. But it wasn't just about brute force. Elden Ring offered a sense of mystery and exploration few modern games dare to try. The buzz surrounding Elden Ring versus Ragnarok was intense. Many called it the defining Game of the Year rivalry. Which approach wins? Epic narrative and characters, or expansive world design and player choice? Ragnarok delivered emotional weight, strong ties to legacy, and cinematic storytelling. Elden Ring responded with open environments, hidden lore, build depth, and the thrill of discovery. The Game of the Year nominees that year also included Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and A Plague Tale: Requiem. Horizon Forbidden West drew praise for its visuals and traversal designs. Stray charmed players with its indie aesthetic and kitty mechanics. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 appealed to JRPG fans. A Plague Tale: Requiem had strength in storytelling and atmosphere. But in the end, it was between Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok, and Elden Ring took the award. Many critics argued Ragnarok deserved to win the top honor. It dominated other categories that night. Then came the stage moment. Right after the Elden Ring team's acceptance speech, a teenager crashed the stage and insisted he wished to nominate his Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton for the award. He disrupted the ceremony and was later escorted off stage. That bizarre interruption became its own headline, adding even more drama to the win. 2023, Baldur's Gate 3. In 2023, Baldur's Gate 3 took home Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and its victory felt both celebrated and expected. Larian Studios built an RPG that leaned hard into choice, consequence, and player agency. Rich characters, branching dialogue, a huge fantasy world, plus that incredible cast made it one of those games that people didn't just play, but live. It won 6 awards in total, including Best RPG, Best Performance, and Player's Voice. Nominees included Alan Wake 2, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Alan Wake 2 impressed with atmosphere and storytelling, Spider-Man 2 with spectacle and traversal, Tears of the Kingdom with innovation and massive world design. What really pushed Baldur's Gate 3 over the top? It wasn't just that it looked good or sounded good, though it did both extremely well. It was about the weight of choices, dialogue that changes relationships, decisions with visible consequences, and a world where being moral or not actually matters. The final act sequences were especially talked about. The stakes felt personal. 2024, Astro Bot. Astro Bot claimed Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2024, but it wasn't a clean sweep of silence. Fans were split, especially between it and Black Myth Wukong. Astro Bot won 4 major awards: Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Action Adventure Game, and Best Family Game. Here's who it beat in the Game of the Year lineup: Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. Many felt Wukong should have won given its hype and gameplay depth, and many felt Shadow of the Erdtree shouldn't have been nominated in the first place. The Game Awards updated their FAQ to explicitly allow expansion packs, remasters, and DLCs to be eligible if the jury deems them worthy. In polls, over 80% of respondents said DLCs shouldn't be eligible for GOTY. What gave Astro Bot the edge wasn't just polish or charm, it was precision in design. It delivered platforming that felt joyful and well-paced, art direction that leaned into its playful layout without being fluff, and a tone that resonated broadly. It might not have been the biggest or loudest contender, but its accessibility plus craftsmanship made people admire it. 2025. 2025 looks like it's shaping up to be one of the most competitive years yet for Game of the Year. There are a few frontrunners already earning massive praise, plus a handful of sleeper hits that could surprise. One of the strongest contenders is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Critics love its storytelling, performance, and polish. It's being talked about like a Game of the Year lock. Hot on its heels, Hades 2, which recently overtook Clair Obscur for the highest Metacritic score among original games in 2025. Then there's Donkey Kong Bonanza, a platformer spectacular, getting praise for its joy, level design, and destructible environments. Indies aren't silent this year either. Blue Prince is being cited as a possible Dark Horse nominee. Its narrative, design, and critical reception give it a shot. And other buzz games include Split Fiction and Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. If I have to predict which of these games are going to win the award, my bet's on Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It has momentum, it checks most of the Game of the Year boxes: story, innovation, art direction, etc. Let's see if my prediction holds up by December.